Hey friends, welcome back to Mustard Seed Homesteading. My name is Megan, and if you're new to my channel, I'm so glad that you're here. What we're gonna do today is walk around the garden. There's been constant changes on a daily basis, which leads me to say that I'm going to probably be doing a weekly garden tour and harvest because it's the second week of August and there's just so much going on. And there's been failures and there's also been successes, and I wanna share those with you. So let's get started. The first bed that I want to show you that has had change since my last tour is my Martina Romas. These are all right here on the outside are Tulsi Holy Basil, and I make a really delicious homemade tea with just honey and lemon. But the last time I showed you this part of my garden, I had harvested a whole bunch of tomatoes, but look you guys, there's so many more that is ready to be harvested. Now, I did prune a lot off of these, so there's not a whole lot of stems and leaves because there was disease, so it just looks like a bunch of hanging tomatoes. But I'm hoping that as they continue to grow up that I can get even more tomatoes before the season is completely over. So let's get these harvested. This could not have been a better day to show you all the garden and to harvest. It was so beautiful outside and had just the right amount of breeze so it was not unbearably hot. Look at all the tomatoes that I harvested from just those few plants. And then look at all the other tomatoes that are still green. These are by far my favorite tomatoes that I'm growing because I had such great success with them last year. I want to say the seeds were from Seed Savers and they're the Martina Romas, but they gave me a ton of tomatoes last year where I was able to make enough salsa for my husband for the whole year. And then this beautiful bed of tomatoes are just, they're growing so tall, and I'm just hoping that we don't get some crazy storm that's gonna knock them over on the top, because I only have 8-foot tall bamboo sticks. But all of these on the outside are lemon basil, which I'm gonna probably be harvesting as well soon. And in the front here, we have these yellow pear-shaped, I wanna say this is the yellow and red pear-shaped blend tomatoes. And then the rest of them are Cherokee Purple. I harvested my very first Cherokee Purple with you guys on my last tour, and there's more to be harvested today, so let's get going. And sorry for the train in the background. I did my best to try to change the background noise, but it was a little bit hard. We don't live super close to a train, but close enough where you can hear it. And you guys, I'm so excited right now. I just harvested a bunch of Cherokee Purple tomatoes, and they were the most beautiful looking tomatoes. I had such a struggle growing these last year. I didn't even get one tomato. And this year they're just blossoming and they're so beautiful. The color is so vibrant. I just have to say, there's nothing like harvesting your own food in your own backyard. It's definitely a lot of work. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it's not, but the reward of eating something homegrown it's beyond a joy that I can even explain, because not only did you work hard to grow those, but you're eating something that is so nutritionally superior than anything you can buy at the store. So I just wanted to add that. And these 4 bags at the end has a whole bunch of cherry tomatoes. We have sweeties to just your cherry tomatoes, and we have the artisan bumblebee, which is like a marbling of yellow, orange, kind of a pinkish red, and then also sometimes it could be green and red too. They're very beautiful tomatoes. And then you're gonna see this right here is a lemon basil. I shared it on the last tour. I let this one grow up. I've had no hornworm issues with this plant because I wanted the basil to grow along with it, because I know that the basil smell can throw off their smell of tomato plants. So far, this one has been hornworm free. These have been hit with hornworms, but this one has been hornworm free because I allowed the basil to grow up. You can see, hopefully the lighting is not too bright, but I let it grow all the way up with the plant, and so far I've had really good success. So I'm going to do it again next year. But let's get harvesting. There's a lot of cherry tomatoes. Cherry tomatoes are one of my favorite things to grow because they're so versatile in the kitchen. You can make salads or throw them in so many different kinds of meals. I don't know if you can see this, but these were eaten by, I'm assuming, a hornworm when I had all those issues, because you can see it's kind of dried up around this area right here. But yeah, they can cause some damage for sure. I've had some really bad hornworms this year. I don't know why, but last year I didn't have them as bad as this year. I must have picked so many off. They can really do some damage if you don't take care of it or pick them off and check on them, which every day I was just checking my garden. That's really the best way, other than basil, but basil is not a 100% guarantee for my experience of keeping them off, except for what I shared here where I allowed it to grow up. That did help, but it doesn't mean I'm 100% immune to having hornworms. So just thought I'd show this to you. This is that beautiful artisan bumblebee. I don't know if you can see it because of the lighting outside, but it's like almost like a pink and green marbling. It is the most beautiful cherry tomato I've ever grown, and these I will be growing every year in my garden. All right, there's the harvest so far. We still got a lot more to pick. So these other two metal beds that I had shared in my last garden tour, I would say this is one of my successes slash failures, because while all this basil is just growing so beautifully, these right here are my Kellogg's tomatoes, and then these are my, I want to say, the watermelon beefsteaks. And I had sprayed these, I'd shared before, I had sprayed these with a neem oil and it was too strong and it really killed some of the leaves. So this is taking a while. I don't even know if I'll get a full amount of tomatoes. You can see some is growing here, and then even from the last tour, these have grown a little bit more. And there's flowers everywhere, but see, like right here is a flower. And there's more flowers, but I don't know. This is kind of a toss between failure and success. We'll see. If I get some tomatoes before the summer's over, then I would say it was a success. But right now, it ain't looking too successful for me, except for the basil. I would say another success slash we'll see might be a failure are my watermelons and then my baby boo pumpkin. So I started my pumpkins really, I should say my pumpkin really late. I had other pumpkin starts, but due to some family stuff that happened, I didn't get them planted in time. So this was the only one that I was able to, and this isn't looking too hot here. So I may not get any pumpkins. I did last year, I think it was a 5-pounder. So I did get a pumpkin before, but if I don't this year, it's not a big deal. Oh, look at this butterfly. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. I can't find it. Oh, there he is. Oh my gosh, you guys, he was so pretty. Oh, it was such a beautiful orange. And then my watermelons seem to be doing pretty good, but then I noticed that the fruit will just fall, like the little fruit will just fall off and it won't stay on. Like for instance, this little guy, he just came right off. And it's not like this spot gets a bunch of sun 24/7. It gets enough shade from all the trees, but it still gets enough sun as well. Now, the last time I had my tour, there was a fruit here, but then it got really squishy and just icky, so I had to get rid of it. And then this little guy kept growing, so hopefully I can at least get one. This is a sugar baby, so they're not supposed to get really big, but I don't know, I'm very disappointed. I had a hard time growing watermelon last year. And so I thought maybe this year I'd have some success, but I also started them late. And so I'll have to just, if I don't get anything this year, I will definitely try again next year. Now on to my next bed. This has my San Marzano tomatoes, and this one has been giving me a lot of fruit as well, just like the other side. And so we're gonna harvest more of these tomatoes. And then in between this bed right here and that bed are the Kentucky Wonders that I had shown previously, and they are starting to show green beans finally, so I'm super excited to show you all. And then this bed also has lemon basil, except this one, I think this one is I can't remember, a large leaf basil. And then all around the rest of the bed is all lemon basil. Now, this is my first time ever growing San Marzano tomatoes, but I'm starting to really like these just as much as the Martino Roma because of how much tomatoes I'm getting from these plants. But I'm looking forward to using it in different recipes. What kind of recipes do you use your plum tomatoes in? I do want to add this little bush tomato plant. It's a little bush Roma tomato plant. For anyone that doesn't want to grow indeterminate where the tomato plant just grows and grows tall, like these massive plants right here, this is really great to have because it doesn't get very large. I already harvested one the last video. I'm waiting for this to blush at least. Now these ones are ready to harvest, so I'm going to grab these. But these are really nice to have, especially if you have a small garden space, or even like me, just trying to fit in as many plants as possible in my garden area. So in between both of these beds, like I shared in the previous tour, are my Kentucky Wonder green beans. I had really bad Japanese beetle issues last year, and this year is the kudzu. I think they're like a stink bug. And they were all over my vines, like right here. And I just was not getting any green beans. And I don't know if it was just because it was taking a while to grow and I did start them kind of late, or if it was because of those bugs. But look, you guys, I'm finally getting green beans. I'm so excited. I see so many flower buds everywhere. Look at them. They're right here. They're so, oh, I'm so excited. You have no idea. But the funny thing is, they're starting to wrap around the tomato plants and they're growing everywhere. And you know what? I'm here for it. I'm going to let it do its thing. See, I don't know if you can see all that. It's wrapping around there. I just don't know how I'm going to harvest them when they grow up there. I'm going to have to get a really tall ladder to get them down. But I'm really happy that I'm growing some green beans on these. A lot of my bush green beans are starting to show a lot of green beans, but I really wanted to get a lot more Kentucky Wonder green beans, so I'm happy about this. And not sure if you remember my pepper plants right here, but they've grown so much. There's no actual fruit to pick yet, but there's a ton of flower buds, and I'm hoping that the next garden tour we'll be able to harvest some peppers. Now, all of this back here are my bucket gardens and all of my extra bags that I had with squashes, and all the buckets are pretty much tomatoes with bamboo sticks. I will say that all my buckets have been a success, but I planted these late because I had put together a bucket budget video, which I will link at the bottom in the description below. But I'm getting a lot of tomatoes. They're just not ready for harvesting yet, but I wanted to show these to you because I want to say that my bucket garden has been a total success. All of the bags, I can't really say if they've been a success or a failure because I've been getting a lot of squash bugs that have just been decimating my squash, you guys, and it's been really annoying. I've always had a hard time with squashes. Now, I did spray some of them with an organic spray because I just can't keep any. And so far, they're looking pretty good. I started some new ones. You can see right here. I started some new ones, so we'll have to see how those go. I'm hoping I can get a squash, at least one. My family is not in love with squashes, but I do like them roasted, especially in a cast iron. Oh my goodness, cast iron veggies are the bomb. They're so good. But we'll see. I can't really say that these have been a success or a failure yet, but my buckets for sure. I love my buckets. I love what I did here, and I can't wait to plant the fall crop in these buckets as well. So here are some of the bush green beans I was talking about. I'm finally getting a ton. I've already harvested some, but I want a lot of green beans before the summer is over because our family, we do love green beans. So I planted a ton, especially right here in these two wood beds. And when those start to fruit, I'm gonna definitely be doing a harvest on those. But now onto some of these right here. These are all tomatoes right here. All tomatoes, and some of them need to be harvested. So we're gonna go ahead and harvest those. And then here are my overwintered peppers. I love these bags. They're my favorite. I'm gonna do it again. Every year I'm gonna overwinter. And I've also thought about, and leave in the comments below what you think and if you've ever overwintered a whole bed of anything. But these peppers and these peppers right here, I'm considering overwintering. Maybe not these, but these ones I'm considering overwintering. But let me know what your thoughts are, because I figured if I could cut them down to just the branches and cover it with, I don't know, frost cover or something, that I wouldn't have to replant them next year, you guys, and I could just add some compost and just have them grow, because look at how beautiful these are doing. Now, granted, yes, these stayed in my garage, but at the same time, I figured why not at least try to overwinter a pepper bed? I just thought that it'd be worth trying and experimenting. So I think I'm gonna do that. And just a quick side note, I always pick my tomatoes when they show some color so that the plant can put more energy into developing more fruit. By the way, do you have a favorite variety of cherry tomatoes? And if so, why are they your favorite? You know what? Let's go ahead and grab some poblano peppers. I wasn't going to grab them, but I think we need to because there's so much fruit, and the more you pick them, the more they're just going to produce for you. I just have to show you, look at all the peppers since my last garden tour. They're not ready yet, but oh my goodness, there's so many growing. And this was the one I overwintered. I love it. I'm so excited. And look at the lemon balm. It's so beautiful. I've been taking too long to harvest those. I really need to do another harvest. I'll leave a link in the description below too. I did a mint and lemon balm harvest, but also preserving all in one. So I'll link that in the bottom as well. Look at all of those flowers, guys. Look at those. And this is in my bucket with an 8-foot bamboo stick. Let's harvest some green beans too. So real quick, I want to show you something with this Cherokee Purple because I'm new to cat facing and all little deformities of tomatoes. I just pulled this off of here because it was growing just like that, and I pulled it off. And you can see, let me see if I can get a close-up of where the flower, it was forming here, and then the flower was forming there, and they were just way too close to each other. And so thankfully these aren't really having any cat facing issues. They were just growing really close to each other. But sometimes things like that happen. It doesn't mean they're not edible. It just means that they don't look like, you know, a picture perfect tomato, which for me, I'm okay with that. But I just thought I'd show you an up close of it. Now, this right here is my cucumber trellis. I'm probably the most excited about the cucumbers this year, even though I'm excited about my tomatoes and everything else. But last year I had gotten cucumbers, but it wasn't as prolific as I was hoping, and a lot of them I think weren't pollinated all the way, so therefore they were like little tennis ball size and they didn't really grow full length. A couple did, but not as much as I was hoping. But this year, you guys, look at how beautiful. And that's gonna get bigger. This one right here, these get really big. Now, this is the Poniente F1, and they're supposed to be disease-resistant vines and so forth, and so far, they've been my favorite. Now, I will say, about a week and a half ago, I was having some really bad like worm issues where they would make a hole into the cucumber and eat the inside of the cucumber. And I found a video sharing of an organic spray, and I sprayed all of the leaves, and I haven't had any more issues, and all of my cucumbers have been growing beautifully, and I couldn't be more excited. I just cannot express how excited I am with all the cucumber growth that I've been having this year. So we're gonna harvest a couple right now. And the other thing I do want to mention to you also, and here's the White Wonder that I had shared in the previous video. I do really like these. Look at that. Look at how pretty they are. So pretty. That one I'm going to harvest today for sure. but I did not prune. The only thing that I will do is if there's a leaf that, this one looks healthy, but if there's a leaf that's really icky or diseased or has really bad whiteflies or anything, I'll take them off. Like this, obviously I would take something off like this. But I have not pruned, and I feel like when it just continues to give its runners is how I'm getting so many cucumbers. So I'm not going to prune my cucumbers anymore because I think that's attributed to a lot of the success that I'm having this year. And you see this little guy, this is a lot of the cucumbers, and I still get these, but a lot of these I got last year, and they're just like little tennis ball size. So, I mean, they're still edible, they still taste good. It's just they're not full length, but that's okay. All right, now this cucumber, before I had sprayed, had a hole in it, so I don't know, I kind of let it go and it grew bigger. But I don't know if, oh, this one's hard to get off. Okay, with one hand it's hard. I don't know if they got into it really bad. See, I think that's where the hole was, right here. And it kind of, I don't want to use the word scabbed over, I can't think of the word. Oh, no, never mind, look it's right there. You see that hole? That's where they would get into. Now, sometimes I would find a cucumber that most of it was still good and they only got like this far. And yes, I will eat it if I chop off the really bad part, but I'll eat it myself. But I don't know, this one continued to grow after I sprayed, because I'm like, I'll just leave it and see what happens. So I don't know, it might have chewed the whole thing inside. I'll have to check and cut it open and see. I'll give you a quick look at all the green beans. In each square, I put 4 green bean plants and a bamboo stick next to each one. And then these little flowers on the outside are marigolds for pest control. We'll see if that helps, but there's a lot of flower buds, lots and lots of flower buds. So once these start to bloom and I'm ready to harvest, I will definitely show you all the green beans that are ready to harvest. And here's the other side of them too. Sorry for the noise in the background, y'all, but we have people that are mowing their lawns. Look at the little tomatoes in there. They're so cute. Those are called money makers. It's the first time I've ever grown them, and we'll have to see how we like them. Now, this part of my garden, which I'm probably gonna have to do separate videos, but I just want to show you all the growth that's been going on. These are my lemon and lime trees. I haven't gotten any fruit yet, but I've been fertilizing and the leaves are just beautiful, so I'm waiting for some fruit to come out. And then these two are my asparaguses. These are perennials. Now, I will say, I want to grow a lot more perennials in my garden because perennials are, I don't want to say completely hands-off, because you still want to put compost on them and fertilize them and help them, and they need water. But perennials are just so much easier than annuals. So I think next year I'm going to probably plant a lot more perennials and see how those go, because perennials are just, they're nice to have in the garden, like I said, because they come back every single year and they're really hard to kill. Perennials are really difficult to kill. And then here's some more cucumbers. They haven't really shown any fruit yet, but I've been still having whitefly issues. As you can see, look at that. Ugh. So I do have another organic spray for this, so I'm probably gonna spray these later today and just kind of see. But so far, I haven't had any fruit from these, but they are still kind of new, so we'll have to see. And then these I'm the most excited about when it comes to my bag garden. These two right here are turmeric, and then these right here are ginger. Look at that, guys. I couldn't be more excited. I take ginger every single day. I'm gonna cover that though. I take ginger every single day in my smoothies. I have a freeze dryer, and so I freeze dry it and I make a powder. And if I could grow my own, because I'm gonna tell you, ginger and turmeric are really expensive. And while I wanna support local farmers or anyone that grows this, if I can grow it myself for a fraction of the price, then why not? Now, I will say they are water-loving plants, especially this one. I am gonna do a follow-up video because I did make a separate video with planting these, and I found with the turmeric that this needs some extra love when it comes to water. And even though they say to plant it 3 inches deep, I found that planting it closer to the surface is really what helped it. So that's why I'm going to do a follow-up video. But look at them, they look so beautiful. I'm so excited. I can't wait to harvest these, and you know I'm going to harvest it with you guys, so I can't wait for that to come. And then these are just some more cucumbers. I haven't gotten any fruit yet from these. And then these are all of my green beans. Now I do want to share with you before I harvest some. So bush green beans don't have as long of a lifespan. I don't know how you want to say it, but the vining green beans, they take longer and stay around longer, whereas the bush green beans, they grow and then they're done. So what I did the other day was I replanted seeds next to each one of these plants. I have about 4, I want to say 4 in here, and I have 4 in here, and I replanted 5 seeds. I put one in the middle this time so that I can have a continuous harvest of bush green beans. And so from here until your frost, you could be constantly planting a continuous harvest of bush green beans, and you'll get a nice amount of green beans before the frost comes. So let's start harvesting these.
Something else I'd like to add about green beans, and this is also the same with peas, they're great nitrogen fixers, meaning that they put nitrogen back into the soil. So a lot of times I will plant green beans or peas after harvesting something that was nitrogen heavy.
And then here are some more cucumbers. Now this was very diseased. So what I did was I kept a runner or 2 of these to see if maybe it'll have some, a better chance at growing some cucumbers before I have to completely pull them out and see, look at, yeah, this one's already starting to grow. So we'll see what happens with that, because whenever they start to vine out from new parts of the plant, that's a whole new plant. So I'm like, well, let's at least just see and try. In the meantime, I did stick a squash in here. So this is a, what kind of squash? Easy Pick Gold hybrid squash. So we'll see, guys. I'm really trying. I'm putting squashes wherever I can to see if I can get at least a squash. Now this one has surprised me tremendously. This is the Armenian cucumber. I just harvested a really long one here that I didn't even know was growing there. But look at this. Now, there has been a lot of, parts of this plant that either had a really bad white fly issue, or again, I sprayed a lot of neem oil on this and it burnt a lot of the leaves. But this plant's a trooper because I've already harvested, look at that guy right here. I've already harvested, I want to say like 2 or 3 off of this plant of cucumbers. And we got one right here, and there's one right here, and I want to say, yeah, see, look at this little guy right here. And that's how this one, it just like grew right here on the side here. I didn't even know it was there. But look at it, just keeps growing. So I'm gonna let this one continue to grow at least until the frost. All right, one of my favorite cucumbers is the Piccolini F1. Now these are supposed to be small. This one is definitely ready for harvesting. They're not supposed to get very large. They're supposed to be small like this. But just like the Poniente F1, it's the same thing with this. They are just so prolific, and I've had such great success. And I had to replant this because I had really bad whitefly issues, and so I had to pull the whole plant out, and I replanted it, and it's just one of my favorite ones. I really highly suggest you try planting this. So let's go ahead and harvest this little guy. I'm going to give you a real quick look at all of my green stalks. These right here are my sweet potatoes, which are doing amazing. This is just a mix of flowers and kale. I don't know how this kale is growing in the summer. I'm sure it doesn't taste good, but I freeze dry this and I make a powder. So for me, I'm not really caring about the taste of it. But look, you guys, it's growing beautifully. And this is the hottest part right here is my driveway. This is where it gets most of the sun, so I'm really surprised. And then a lot of this echinacea is growing. I haven't seen any flowers yet, but they're growing beautifully because they started off pretty slow, and then they kind of took off as the summer went on. Now, these two right here are completely empty. I'm gonna get these ready for my garlic. I had planted garlic. I have a harvesting garlic video of that, and it did really well. So I'm gonna save this for garlic. And then these right here are my red sail lettuces that I just let go to seed because it was a great lettuce and I wanted to get a whole lot more seed from them. Now, this is just a mix of tomatoes and basil. We're gonna harvest from those. And then some of them have my mint on top. I have spearmint, peppermint, and mojito mint. And we're just gonna harvest some and see what we get. You guys, I have to share this with you real quick. Okay, so I said that this was empty because it had my garlic. You know what's growing right here? Tulsi Holy Basil. You know why? Because the Tulsi Holy Basil over here, the seed probably fell, and now look at, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. Look at how pretty that is. If you've never grown Tulsi Holy Basil, I highly suggest it. Not only does it make a great tea, like I said, but the smell is just so intoxicating. It's the most beautiful scent, and it attracts so many pollinators, and the flowers are beautiful too. Now, a lot of these tomatoes that I have in the green stalks are indeterminate, which is why you see a lot of the bamboo sticks, or you're gonna see a lot of these, what are these called? I forgot. They're from Greenstock. They're the planter supports. You're gonna see a lot of those, or the bamboo sticks for support, but I also have bush tomatoes too, like in determinate tomatoes, so we'll go and harvest those as well. So here are the little determinate. You can see they're just a smaller little bush-like tomato plant. These also had really bad whitefly issues, so I'm not sure what happened there, but they just decimated it. But I'm getting tomatoes, so I think that's all that matters. And these wild ones right here are cucamelons, and while I have gotten some cucamelons, this just got too wild for me. So you can see they're growing here. But next year, because they were delicious, next year I'll probably give its own little trellis because these just got too wild. And then here's a squash plant. Hopefully we get some squashes because I haven't gotten one yet this year, so let's see. And then these two are my blueberry plants, and then that's my raspberry plant and my other raspberry plant right here. They've been giving me a lot of berries. I know that it's super hot, which these could probably get picked, so let's harvest these. But they've been doing really well this year. It's interesting because this plant, which is the powder blue, didn't really give me a lot of blueberries last year, while this one, which I think is called Prince, gave me the most blueberries last year. So this one hasn't really given me much this year. but it did last year, and then this one this year is giving me the most and it didn't last year. So that's pretty interesting to me. But either way, I'm happy because my kiddos and my husband have been able to snack blueberries all summer and spring, which is all that matters to me because berries are super expensive at the store and I don't like paying for those high prices. And there's some raspberries. And this little cutie patootie is the Tabasco peppers. My mother-in-law gave me this plant and I overwintered this plant as well, but this definitely needs some harvesting. They're like little teeny tiny peppers that just pack a little punch, and they're good to just add to whatever. You could probably even freeze this, blend it up, and do a whole bunch of fun stuff with this and just add it to whatever it is that you want, or freeze dry it and make a powder. That would be really delicious. Now, I saved what I think is the best for last because this is the first time that I've ever grown little snacking cucumbers. Look at all those little baby cucumbers, and then look at, let's get this up here. I'm gonna have to get something bigger to hold it. Look at these little snacking cucumbers. They're supposed to be really small like this. They're just snacking, they're called quick snack cucumbers. Yeah, they're quick snack cucumbers. Look at how cute these are. You can just pick them off and start eating them. So I waited to harvest these with you guys because they're the cutest little cucumbers ever. And they look like they're very prolific. So we're gonna take these off and try them out today.
And before I end the tour, I just want to show you my cart of herbs. I have all sorts of herbs from bee balm to rosemary, lavender, oregano, thyme, sage, and catnip. And I have really enjoyed having them in individual bags and being able to just come up to them and snip herbs off when I need them or to harvest and preserve. And here is the full harvest. I couldn't be more thrilled at how much food I've been able to harvest every week from my backyard. It truly is worth every bit of effort and time that I have put into my garden and continue to put into my garden, as well as the skills I've been able to acquire since I started this journey.
So thanks for stopping by and walking through the garden with me, as well as harvesting. I know for me, the month of August is one of my busier months because I'm not only harvesting a lot, but I'm also replanting before the summer is completely over. And I'm also pulling plants out that either got really diseased or pests just took control over them. And I'm also gearing up for the fall season as well. But this month of August is my favorite because of all the harvesting. And I'm so looking forward to continuing to share with you all the harvests as the weeks come. So thanks for stopping by, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.